Hello everyone. A very good evening to all of you. First of all, thanks a lot for joining me over here. And I especially want to thank IIM Indore and Math Statica for totally, making this happen. I'm sure and totally want to thank you for all the organization, the different skills they need on an everyday basis, and specific to the interview, we will also talk about what are the different questions that are possibly asked in the interview. And hence we will also discuss a little bit about guesstimates and what really is case studies. Okay, so of course I am open to questions. We will try to wrap up like the session thing in around 30 minutes, and post that we can start with any live questions that you guys have regarding anything in general, but specific to probably consulting or career in consulting today. So that is kind of going to be the way we will take the session forward. So I hope that will answer a lot of doubts of what really is consulting and what happens in consulting as well. Okay, and of course I will also just drop a little slight note about why is consulting a good career in general, and that too for people who have work experience or who do not have work experience. So that is also one thing that we would like to cover. So I will just essentially start with what really is consulting. Okay, of course, in case there is any issues in audio, video, anything, you can just let me know in a strategy or management consulting firm. So what do is that they create overall strategies for a different firm. So suppose you are external consultants to a particular firm and they say that they now want to digitize everything. So you have to create a strategy for digitization for the entire firm, and then you will also kind of create a roadmap for this desired change. Okay, this change in general spans across multiple departments because digitization is an extra effort for the company's employees. Now, for example, imagine that the company wants to digitize, and all the moving on to why consulting, right? That you feel that you have worked on something that has created an impact in some companies, some people, at least someone's life, right? So that is why consulting, I think that was the major thing why I was attracted to consulting, and majorly because of this. And also it requires quite a bit of travel to different cities, so it's never going to be monotonous. It is going to be something exciting, something new every few months, right? Now I will just kind of deep dive into what is a day like in the life of a consultant. Okay, so what do essentially? As I said, that they want to solve a problem for a client firm. Now what do is that they interact with the client to get an idea of the overall problem, like we were discussing about digitization. So they will try to get an idea that what is the problem that you are facing right now. Okay, so digitization is the aim that the client has. Now they will have to understand the nuances of this issue and hence structure the problem. We will get to structure later on when I will be discussing a little bit about guesstimates. But what it means is that you will say, okay, digitization has to be done. What are the different components that will probably have to change because of that? Who are all the stakeholders who I will have to connect with? What are the changes and processes that will have to happen for future? And what are the process changes or one-time work that you will have to do the past data digitization as well? So this kind of breaking, this kind of structuring the problem to ensure that every single aspect of the issue or of the client requirement is completed is something that you do in structuring the problem. Okay. Now, then the other thing is, of course, you have to speak to multiple stakeholders, because as I said, these problems generally span across departments, and hence firstly, you of course have the immediate client that you have who has brought the problem to you. Then you have to speak to the managers of different departments. Then again, because the managers probably will not have all the data that you require, you will have to speak to the mid-level employees or the junior level employees. And then you will have to interact with them to get the data required. You will have to work with them constantly so that they know what you are doing and it makes sense to them as well. and things like that. That is why you have to interact with a lot of stakeholders on a regular basis just to solve any issue. Okay. Then the major thing, that is problem solving. You have to do problem solving, whether it is creating a model, whether it is creating a new strategy, totally something new in that particular industry or anything. You have to do a lot of brainstorming and problem solving. And once you are done with all of this, you have to present it and discuss it either with the client or with the internal team or something like that. So that is how the entire day goes. And I think that you got at least some insight onto what things are constantly required. So just going on to the skills then. Directly from the previous slide, I think problem solving is a major skill that is required. So you have to be very sharp, you have to be very quick in the different ways a problem can be solved. Because sometimes you cannot just think of one particular way the problem can be solved. Because if that does not work out, you have to have a backup as well. So that is why you have to know about different ways the problem can be solved in. Again, your communication, both verbal and written, has to be really good. This generally gets improved when you are working in the industry as well. But in general, they expect at least some level of good communication because it is needed to interact with the client on a daily basis. And yeah, I think that is why it is really important. The third point is client management, which is something which mostly people learn on the job, because you have to learn to work with different types of clients, make them feel okay with your presence, make them feel okay with your solution, understand if there is any major problem with the solution, or if there's something that they would like you to change something. So things like this, you have to hence manage the clients, because some people might not be as open as others, right? Some clients might tell you straightforward that this is the issue I'm facing. Some other person might not tell you, but he will not approve whatever solution that you have made. So these are the different types of people you can of course come across, and that is why client management, or in general people management, is a good skill that is kind of required. The fourth thing is ownership, and this is really difficult for someone coming directly from the academic field, because of course we have projects and all, but taking a particular module or a particular piece of the project and ensuring that you are the one who will be able to solve it. Also, it is a good idea in general to, whenever you are asking for a solution, of course have a few options of yourself as well, so that the other person knows what all that you have thought about the problem really. So you have to show that amount of ownership on the project or the piece of project that you own. Okay. Now moving on to the two pillars of interviews. Now just before interviews, especially in campus placements, you will have to submit your resumes, and these resumes will get shortlisted by the consulting firms that are there. Once they are shortlisted, is that case interviews, what they include is that they will give you a client problem. Okay, so suppose your problem is that your client owns a sweet shop and their revenues have been declining. Okay, now this is the problem that you have, and post this everything you have to ask or you have to derive. So I will probably ask that since how long the revenues have been declining. I will maybe ask how much have the revenues declined, and then once I understand that okay, this much revenues have declined since past 1 year, I will try to understand that whether it is one particular product where the revenues are declining, or if the sweet shop is kind of a chain, is it one particular store where the revenues are declining, etc. So this is an entire a way of solving the case. I will definitely be creating like some sample case some sample case interview videos. I will also try to create one video on how to solve a case in general, just the basics. And over there I can definitely go through all the different cases that are there. But right now let's just focus on the second pillar of interview, which is guesstimates. Guesstimates, what they are is essentially they are kind of a mini case only. What they also require is structure, like the case required. For example, as I was saying, I will derive what product the issue is in, or what kind of shop the issue is in, etc. Things like that. In guesstimates also you require some kind of structure, But guesstimates are short problems which are generally covered in like 10 to 15 minutes max. And they ask questions like, for example, they will ask you number of bulbs in India at one time. Or I have already done 2 guesstimate videos. One is number of ACs purchased in India or number of ACs in India, and second is revenue of a McDonald's store. Okay, so these are like some examples of the guesstimate questions that are there. Of course, the video links are there in description, so you can of course go ahead and look at them. But these are the sample guesstimates that are there. I will also solve one guesstimate right now, try to at least get around the overall structure of the guesstimate. So firstly, let's go through the basics of guesstimates. The first problem is ask clarifying questions. Like I asked for the case study question, that since how long is the revenue declining, or how much is the revenue declining. So you have to ask clarifying questions. For example, if I say how many bulbs are there. Okay, there seemingly is a lot of lag overall. Just give me 1 minute, I will give it another try. Okay, I think that now it is better. Yes. Okay. So great. I think that I hope that you guys were able to look at the entire, at least the basic pointers that you have to take care of in guesstimates. And yeah, okay, great, finally. So these were the major points that I was trying to talk about in the basic guesstimates. I will very shortly in 1 minute go over them again. Just so that anything that you guys missed, you can, just look at it again. Firstly, ask clarifying questions to get to the final crux or the final basic question that you have to solve. Secondly, try to devise the calculation that you want to make. Try to make that in a formula so that it's easier for you to identify every single piece of the formula and take out the final answer. Thirdly, identify the entire approach that you are going to follow and explain it to the interviewer. Probably take like 30 seconds in the starting of the interview. Take it to the interviewer, discuss it with them and then follow on. Fourth is be MECE, that I explained, be mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. Whenever you are breaking the problem into 2 aspects, for example, you are breaking the population of India into urban and rural. That ways it is mutually exclusive because urban is different and rural is different. There's no overlap per se, and also collectively it makes the Indian population. So that is mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. The next point is keep it simple, because keeping it simple in terms of getting to one number, not taking numbers which are like 7 point something and things like that. Keep it very simple. Confirm the sensitive numbers with the interviewer so that whatever answer you are taking out comes at least in the range that is required, and do a sanity check in the end. Ensure that your number is not totally off. Okay, so these were the things. Now we will move on to a guesstimate example. I would love if you guys could kind of try to solve it with me. Definitely like give me some answers as to what you think about it. Okay, so we have to identify estimate the number of tires in India. Okay, now how are we going to do it? Just think about all the tires that are there in India. Okay, so firstly, I will try to just think my way out that what all tires are there in India, and I will discuss it with the interviewer. The point is that there can be tires in bicycles, in two-wheelers, in three-wheelers, in four-wheelers, 4+ wheelers, and also steel tires in trains. Okay. So I will ask the interviewer that, should I focus on all the different types of tires, or is there any specific domain or any specific part that you want me to focus on? Now this is kind of asking clarifying questions and making the problem simpler for you. Okay. So now moving on, suppose the interviewer answers that let's just focus on four-wheelers. Okay. Again, I will ask that four-wheelers can be household cars or they can be commercial cars. So should I focus on both of them or should I just focus on one? Now for simplicity, again, let's try to take that we are just looking at household cars today. Okay. I will also give you a slight idea on how to do commercial cars later on. But let's just focus on household cars for now. Or maybe you can do, if suppose he says that you have to look at both of them, you can do something like, okay, I will go ahead and estimate the household cars, which you can do from taking out the entire households in India and so on. And you will say that around 20 to 30% cars of these will be commercial cars. So the entire number you can multiply with 1.2 or 1.3 in the end and take out the total number of tires. Okay. Why will this help is because household cars is a little easier to identify and take out based on households. And again, that number constitutes at least 70-80% of the total number of cars that will be there in India, right? So that is something that we will take. So we will just look at the household cars for now. Now what I will do is that I will divide it into kind of a small formula for now. I will say that I will find out the number of cars in India and multiply it with the number of tires. And again in cars, I will do it based on households. For urban, it might be different. For rural, it might be different. Okay. And number of tires, I am taking that 4 tires the car will have and 1 is the spare tire that all of the cars have with them. Okay. So there will be 5 tires per car. Okay. Now we will identify number of cars in India. We will divide it in urban households and rural households. How this division will take place is knowing the basic population, the basic number of population in India, knowing the basic split that is around that you can take like 30%, 70% or 40%, 60% or something like that. Okay. It's good to take a round number because if you take like probably say 35 and 65, then you will face some issues in doing the calculations later on. So that might become an issue. Try to like ensure that you take a round number. So say 30% and 70% is what we have assumed. Now we will divide the household into high income, middle income and lower income groups. Okay. Again, this split also you have to assume some percentages, but of course you cannot take like 50% of India is in high income because that number is not really correct also. Okay. So just moving on and taking assuming a few percentages for different households and different income levels where they stay. And for each income level, now that I know that urban households could be around 20%, which are like, at high income. Now, how many cars will they have? This is now the sensitive number that I was talking about. Okay. So you cannot assume like they will have 10 cars, even though some people might have 10 cars, but you cannot assume that they will have 10 cars. You have to assume a decent enough or a number which is kind of describes the average. Okay. So moving on to that, again this number is the sensitive number and we can, after writing down this number, we can confirm with the interviewer whether this is fine with him as well. Okay. So yeah, I think that this is the number that you have finally. And then you can of course go ahead and multiply, say you will find out the total number of households based on India's population, then you will take out urban population, divide that by 4 to identify total number of households, then multiply it with 0.2 and 3 to identify the number of cars that high income urban households have in India. Okay. Similarly, you do multiplication with all of them to find out the total number of cars in India. And then multiply it with the number 5 to identify total number of tires in India. Okay. So this is the overall way how you structure the problem, the structure that I was talking about. Again, it is MECE, that is mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive, because we have divided it into like separate sections which are not overlapping, and we have kind of put down one single number for each section of population that we had to keep it kind of simple. Okay. Just a few basic things while solving that you should know is ensure that you know basic demographic numbers like the population of India or the division between urban, rural and things like that. Again, draw the structure and then fill in the numbers like the way I did over here. Like I have drawn the overall structure that I will have, that this is how I will solve the problem, and then gradually I have put in the different numbers that are there for that, right? So draw the entire structure so that you have the problem entire approach in your mind, and you can do what? Keep talking with the interviewer throughout. Explain your approach at every moment if you have to. You can, and again, get a confirmation on the approach or on the numbers that are possible. Okay, and write neatly. Ensure that your sheet is neat. This might not be the neatest sheet that I have, but probably good enough for me to identify what I have really done. Okay, so that if later on I face that there's some issue with the number, suppose the number comes out to be too high, okay, I can say that maybe assuming 20% in urban high income was a little higher percent and things like that, so that you know what exactly happened, how you came down to that number, and if there's any issue with that number, how do you go back. Okay. So that, yes, these are the major things that are there while solving guesstimates. Now I will just directly take questions. Of course, you can look at the two other. I have not taken out the number in this particular guesstimate because I wanted to tell you that the approach overall is more important. So identify the approach, and I will of course take any questions that you guys have right now. Feel free to just post in comments, and I will like to take these questions. Okay. So I will just start with the starting. Hi Abhay, hi Dibya, hi Charita. I hope that you were able to hear it right now. I think I was facing some issue with the video overall, but now it should be better. So sorry for that, but I hope that now it is a little better. Also coming full screen now. Yeah. Hi Kamal. You're welcome. Hi Vedant, thanks a lot. Hi Musings, you're saying getting into consulting with low ACADS 997 without any spike in extracurriculars. Okay, so yes, there needs to be spike, at least like for the top consulting firms. It is kind of a little bit necessary, but taking in consideration that your academics are like 9.9 at least, these are good. For 7, you will have to show at least some things in your resume, right? So you can probably show things like, even if there's nothing in extracurriculars, you can do something with NGOs, you can do something, anything which is your hobby, okay? So I think I would recommend there's this video that I created, which was Impactful Resume. Or I also created like a basics of consulting, wherein I showed my own resume over there. So you can look at that video. If you want, later on you can ask on my Telegram group, or look at it through my website. All the links are there in description. So you can look at that video. In that video, I have showcased my own resume, showing that I did not really have any great extracurricular activities, because I was not good in dance, I was not good in singing or something similar, okay? So but still I was able to create at least a decent enough extracurricular section for myself. So you can just look at that and get some idea. Apart from that, of course, you should have a good POR section. Even if academic like score is not good, if you have some case studies, some business studies, problems, etc. that you have solved, these are the different things that you can for sure showcase in the interview to get a little bit more points, okay? Hi Saya, You're saying I wanted to ask one thing. My 10th marks are 61, 87, 81. Can I prepare for IMA or not? I think you can prepare for IMA. At least you cross all the basic thresholds. But of course, it will be a little bit difficult because of your 10th score. Otherwise, your score is good and you will also get diversity benefit. So that is great. Hi Ankita, you're saying how to solve a case study. So I gave like a basic idea of what really is the case study problem that is given. And for example, the way we structured it in this particular guesstimate, that is the same way you will have to structure it there as well. I will for sure put out a video on case studies, at least an example. You can just tell me if it is urgent, I will do it like in next 1-2 weeks for sure. So we can go ahead and do that. I will give a sample for that. Okay. Hi Tane. You're saying, do all consulting companies require great academics for shortlisting? So not all consulting companies, but the top consulting companies require good academics. That said, it is not that, it is 999. Even my CGPA in IIT was like 8.5. So, but yes, of course, they require something above 8 mostly in general, unless like you have an excellent resume otherwise also, okay? Hi, okay, thanks a lot for telling me that, there was some issue with the entire video. Hi Manav, you're saying, can you tell best preparation strategy for quants after you are done with basics of quant? So after you are done with basics of quant, Manav, I think one thing you can do is try to solve intermediate sectional tests and then move on to advanced sectional tests, okay? So that will overall give you more confidence, that will help you revise the entire syllabus as well, and that should help you. Hi Ankita, yes, as I said, I will definitely try to do a demo. I have solved quite a few cases, so I can give at least one example out there and I will post the video over here. For this only, I think I required some software which could be, show my screen as well as show video from which I take from some other device. So in case you know of any such kind of software that I can use probably to create this video, for sure I'll be happy to use that and make this soon. Okay. Hi Raghav, you are asking me, is it better to suggest a point estimate or a range? So you do not, so basically as I said, the way Guesstimate worked today was that we identified like different sections, we structured that problem, and then finally you come down to one particular number, right? So that is the one number that you have to come to. I think that answers your question. It is kind of a point estimate, hence. You can of course say that it can be slightly higher due to this reason or slightly lower due to that reason, but it has to be a point estimate. Hi Rahul, you're asking me what is meant by sanity check. So sanity check, as I said, like suppose that the final answer really is 30,000, okay, and you are getting answer as 300. So that is the sanity check overall. What that means is that when when you are really kind of solving it, when you come down to that number in the end, you have to see whether this number makes sense for me or not, okay? That is known as sanity check. Thank you Naman, that's a cute compliment. Hi Avni, you are asking me what do companies look for while shortlisting the resume. So I mean, of course, you can look at my, how to get into consulting video, but in short, they look at, firstly, of course, your academics should be good enough. Then you should have certain peaks or certain spikes, which is called in the consulting world, which kind of means that in academics, probably either your academic section should be really, really good, or your work experience should be something which is excellent, or maybe your extracurriculars, your position of responsibility should be something which is really great, okay? So that is known as peaks. So if you have 1 or 2 or 3 are really rare, but if you have at least 1 or 2 peaks, then that is something which they would like to accept. So that is what they look. Hi Rahul, you're saying ACADS 9965 from Central Government Institute, and I have several extracurricular spikes like captaining institute team for national level sports tournament. I think that's a good profile to have. 65 is a little low on the academic side, as I said. And I think extracurrics is a good thing to have. If you also have wins and podium finishes, then that is even much better. And I think apart from that, you should look at, probably interning with good organizations or taking your captaincy in itself as a position of responsibility, so that can work there as well. Hi Manav, yes, asking me, can you tell best preparation strategy for quant? I have already answered this question, Manav. Hi Avni, you're asking me, I'm an architecture student preparing for CAT. Will my undergrad branch affect my shortlisting in the company for consulting? Undergrad branch really does not matter that much. It's it's mostly institute, maybe a little bit, or the kind of projects or internships or things like that you have done. Okay, so branch does not matter. Even I was in biotechnology, not really related. Most of the engineering branches are not really related, but I think, yeah, that should answer. Hi Raghav, you're asking me how mature is consulting as a career in India. Okay, one second. Do you have to chase clients or there is plenty of business? So it depends on like what firm you are at, because it varies. I think that there are consulting projects in India in general, because the government is taking a lot of consulting. Even a lot of startups, etc., they have started taking consulting. It's not as common because people feel that, these are problems that we can also possibly solve. But as I said, there are issues when you try to internally solve such a problem. So consulting is more and more getting accepted. It's not completely mature that everyone would be totally open to consulting, but I think that it's a good enough industry. And a lot of firms, because they are not really India specific firms, they are MNCs which work across the globe. So in general, you should not be really short of projects. Okay. Hi Vijay, you're asking me, can someone having manufacturing experience get shortlisted, or should I get some experience in analytics? No, it's not necessary to get any specific experience per se. So any kind of experience is good. It's just that, you should be able to showcase these skills that I asked for. You should be able to showcase those skills through your overall probably resume or experience or things like that. Okay. Yeah. Hi Raghav, you're asking me, added to that, I know clients' problems may vary on a case to case, but is there any ideal time frame it takes you to solve their problems, and how regularly you go back and forth on their problems? This is a question which cannot be answered with a blanket statement. There are strategy problems and client cases which get over in like 3 months, where we just have to create the roadmap. There are projects with continuous engagement that you have to go back again and again, and they give you a new problem, or they extend the engagement, which probably even goes through years, many years. So of course, that is one thing that is there. So I cannot really give you a frame, but in general in consulting, what they try that people who are joining, they get a good level of exposure. So I think that is one thing. So we get like removed, or at least we get a change in case in every around 9 months, I think. Yeah. So that is there. Hi Krishna, you are asking me for CAT preparation, Unacademy or GradeUp app. I have not heard of GradeUp. So maybe just ask people who are taking these courses and see what is the level of difficulty that they have. Hi Luminous, you're saying, can I do MBA after BSc? Yes, you can do MBA after any undergraduate degree. There's no restriction per se. Hi Nikhil, hi Manav, you're asking me, does practicing from mocks will improve my quant? If only I practice from quant. If you only practice quant, yeah, of course, that will improve your quant. I really do not understand the question completely. Hi, Darshan. Hi, it's great you're an IPM student. In case you have any question, you can of course put in here, Darshan. I would be happy to answer that. Hi, Nikhil. Yeah, you're asking me what advantages or disadvantages does a consulting role have as compared to an investment banking or equity and derivatives analysis role with MBA. See, okay, so this is a tricky question because these are two completely different career paths, right? So even I was thinking whether should I go into finance or consulting. There are different points of differences. For example, in general, in finance, the working hours are a little higher compared to consultant, even though they are also higher in this particular domain, but they are even more higher in finance. Then in finance, everything is very, very fast paced. The team that you have is really, it's kind of a small team that you have, and you work with, even in the entire office, sometimes I've heard there are like 20 people only. While in consulting, you work with one particular team for a few months, then when your project changes, you work with a new set of people, etc. In finance, of course, the pay is better, so that is there. And I think for detail, understanding what really happens and what is different, there are, I have created videos for the finance sector and jobs as well. You can look at my website. Over there you will find it in resources, or you can directly go to the quick guidance video playlist. You will find 2 finance videos and 2 consulting videos that I have created till now. So you can watch those and get some idea of what really, they are not really long videos, guys. It's like 10-15 minutes. So you can get some idea of what are the major differences and what are the skills that are also required for finance and for consulting. So accordingly, what career path you feel that you like and what skills you feel that you have or you would like to have, those you can of course look at and identify or choose your particular career. Okay. Hi Nikhil, you're asking me 93, 93, 85 is good. Yes, it is good. Hi Lucky, asking me 82, 68, 80 is a good profile. It's okay. Of course, 68 is low. Hi Luminous, 89, 80.2, 90. Yes, I think you can get into MBA. Thank you, Krishna. Happy Engineering Day to all the engineers who are watching. Hi, Nikhil. You're asking me, okay, 1 second. Yeah, you're asking me, as in consulting, there is no work-life balance. Did you take out time for live Q&A? So I am officially starting like next Monday. So that is why on a weekday I'm able to do this. Apart from that, from the next time, of course, it's going to be only weekends, and hopefully that time I will have. Hi Avni. Oh, thanks a lot for the compliment. You're welcome. Of course, feel free to ask more questions or share it with people who would find it helpful. Hi Jatin, asking me which type of qualities must have in management consultant, specifically for MNCs like McKinsey, BCG or Bain. So I told you these skills that are required for consulting and the skills that you are judged at. So these are the major skills that are needed, and apart from that, I have talked about resume shortlisting entirely in a video that is there on how to get into consulting or something like that, and that of course you can see as well. Okay. Hi Nikhil, you're asking me which specialization is shortcut for consulting. So there's, I think that's something like probably strategy or operations. That could be something that can be it's not really a shortcut or one way for consulting. Okay. Hi Abhilash, you're asking me, I have 10, 83%, 77% sports certificate, how much to score. See, I cannot really give answers to questions onto how much you have to score in CAT per se. But of course, try to get the highest score possible so that you can get a call from whatever college that is important. Hi Darshan, you're asking me how important is the role of a back-end consultant, like data analytics consultant. So just giving you like a small insight, after IIT, I joined Opera Solutions, wherein I was working as an analytics consultant. Of course, I mean, there was only analytics consultant over there. So that was one thing that I was doing on, and the life is slightly different because in strategy consulting, you might not have to do as much data and all, but it is very, very important. The role of back-end consulting is also very important. The only point is you are not the front-facing people with the client. So that is the only issue. And in your case, the client or your client will kind of become your own firm's front end office or things like that. Okay. Hi Atishay. You're asking me with a decent resume can we get into top firms immediately after graduation or MBA is a necessity? No, MBA is not a necessity. The consulting firms do hire directly from undergraduate colleges, for example, from SRCC, from IITs, etc. And apart from that, I have known that they also hire like CAs. They also hire the top few rankers. They will send out messages to, and they will want to interview with them. Yeah, I think that that is there, but of course the number of hires is higher when you go through a postgrad route or an MBA route as compared to that in undergraduation. Okay. Hi Shreyasi, you can just look at my LRDI strategy video for this. Hi Manav, you're asking me does practicing from mocks, I've answered this. Hi Raghav, you're asking me in consultancy data analytics is booming. What kind of opportunities and challenges this leaves for the traditional firms like operations, finance, etc. Traditional firms, okay. So you're asking about consulting in operations or finance. I think that data in general is being used by industries across the board. Okay, so it's not just that data analytics as a consulting opportunity is booming. Even if you are in finance or finance consulting, you are continuously leveraging data. So I think that this is just this happening across. So you have to get at least some skills in data analytics. Hi Abhishek, you're asking me getting consulting job is difficult for non-engineer because some people said that only IIT background students get jobs. So what about non-engineer who have less academic score? So less academic score is a negative, as I told you before. But people who are only from IITs, it's not important that only they will probably, get into consulting roles. People who are from non-IIT or non-engineering backgrounds also do get, at least in MBA, in the batch that I have seen. Okay. Hi Raghav, you're asking me does data analytics go hand in hand or is it creating a new field? It's happening both. It is going hand in hand as I said, but of course like very specific big data analytics etc. they are a field in their own as well. Hi Luminous, you're asking me please tell me does IIM take, I've answered that. Hi Harsh, asking me hi I have pressed exit since I already have 40 months experience and want to do an MBA, decent extra currics and extra, but 95, 77, 76 PG part-time IIFT. Okay. I think that your profile is okay. I mean, of course, 70s is there, but I think your profile is decent. Hi Shoaib. Hi Shreyasi, you're asking me for BBA students, what should be the profile required to getting calls from good IIM? For BBA students, I mean, there's no profile per se. It is very, the calls that you get, they are very, very objective. They are based on your past academic score, any work experience if you have, academic diversity and CAT score. Okay. So, academic diversity you will for sure get. If you get a good CAT score and have decent academics, I think you can get a call. Hi Krishna, you're saying to get into IIM work gigs is mandatory for anyone. It is just that you get extra points for that. Okay. Hi Nikhil, you're asking me to what extent do you expect the consultant jobs to be impacted with the COVID-19 pandemic, and how do you think the pandemic will affect the day-to-day client questions with respect to the same? Okay, so pandemic is affecting consulting because they are kind of seen as at least slightly a luxury to have consultants on board, at least in India. But of course, we are getting like good projects. We are at least getting like COVID specific problems that are there across the board, COVID handling strategy or creating these strategies. So the questions are changing in that way. Hi Chinmay. As I said, stellar acads are not needed, but something like 888 would be a really good to have profile. Hi Nikhil, you're saying why don't you take CAT full course 2021 so that we will get benefited? Okay, so basically I do not want to get into like the entire syllabus or the teaching of it specifically for CAT, because I have a lot of dependencies in terms that I will have to be working constantly, etc. So I would leave it to the experts, leave it to all the great coaching institutes that we have. And you can take any coaching institute's material, whether it is online, offline, or anything like that, and that should do it, because in case I'm not able to, I would not really want that. Hi Darshan, you're saying how important is my UG score in getting a resume shortlist, considering you have no work ex. So undergrad score is important at that time because work ex is less, so your academics need to be good. But again, I think that 8, 8.5, 9 should, I mean, of course these are good CGPA, so they should be good. Hi Tane, you're saying do consulting firms even consider 777? So with 777, what you can do is try to get into a boutique consulting firm or small specific niche consulting firms that are there. And yeah, I think that is it. So these are the firms that will mostly try to at least interview you if your resume overall is decent. Yeah, I think that is it. So guys, that is it from my side right now. It was amazing interacting with all of you, and I hope that this session helped anyone who is looking for consulting as a domain later on in future. And this will also give you at least some idea of what happens really in consulting, what happens in the domain, what kind of work is being done and all. Answering the last question, is future of consulting going to shift permanently from work from home? I don't think so, because consultants are kind of needed at that moment in front of the client so that they can interact very continuously with the client. That is why it might not happen. Okay guys, you're welcome everyone, and thanks a lot. In case you have any follow-up questions, anything else, you can either put them in comments, or you can join my Telegram group, or you can just visit my website to get different ways of connecting with me or reaching me out. So these are the different things that you can do, and that is it from my side today. Thanks a lot. It was lovely interacting with all of you, and sorry for the random network issues again, but hope so that this does not happen anymore. Okay, thanks a lot guys. It was great interacting with you. Thank you.